Hey Summoners, welcome back to our channel. My name is Nathan Ng, and today I'm going to teach you guys how to win more games without having to carry. Ultimately, there are going to be games where you have no choice but to take it upon yourself to carry. We're not going to deny that. But what we are going to say is that those games are less frequent than you might believe, and that you don't have to make consecutive outplays to win every single game. So, with all that being said, let's go ahead and just jump right into this video. You might have heard us mention something called the win con in previous videos. Now, in games where your team is built with tons of utility backing up a single Kog'Maw, it's pretty obvious what your win condition is. At other times, however, you got a fighter in your top lane, a scaling mage mid, and everyone knows that marksmen are always trying to be the next double lift. These games are a lot more ambiguous, and honestly, that can be your sigh of relief because that means anyone can carry the game because there are multiple win conditions. It's pretty rare for everyone to pull off an equal load. Most of the time, one player is going to have to shoulder more weight than others, and that's fine. With that being said, it's important to recognize your team's win condition. If you know your top laner has a matchup that can swing heavily in either direction, their fight might be more important than a farm fest between two late game mages in the mid lane. If you're playing any other lane than a top lane in this situation, you can always make some adjustments in your gameplay in the early game. Go help them out and try to get momentum going in their favor. There's a certain satisfaction of getting carried when it results directly from your own actions. And the opposite could be said if that top lane matchup ends up being a tank v tank matchup. Come on. A 10-0 Maokai might be pretty strong, but what if your bottom lane runs it down? Give them a gank or two here and there, and it'll help you get ahead, but keep your main priorities straight. This leads me to our question of the day. What champions do you go the extra mile to camp when they're on the enemy team? Riven comes to mind for me because while some of them do run it down, there are some who pop off, and I'd rather deal with those situations as little as possible. Let us know your answers in the comments below. Now, back to the topics of win condition. The main point that I want to get across to you guys is that you're not always going to be your team's best shot at success. Sure, you can pick a powerful meta pick, but what if your opponent counterpicks you? What if you get camped and repeat ganked over and over again? Try to find ways to impact your games by giving your teammates some more resources to work with. Provide them with vision, roam for the early game, and commit to that early teleport if you have the means to do so. There are plenty of ways you can help your teammates out, and while it might seem like a leap of faith, remember that League of Legends is, for better or worse, a team game. Being a great teammate can be just as impactful as being a great individual player. Sometimes it's even better. Another way to win more games is being a more consistent player. It's very easily said, but we all know that the execution isn't simple by all means. However, one thing that you need to do is to understand that it's not your job to carry every single game. If you have the mindset going into games that you're going to carry your awful teammates because you can't really rely on anyone but yourself, you're unfortunately going to hurt your client more than help it. It's not that you shouldn't be trying to play your best and go for some outplays. That's good stuff. But if you get into the mindset of having to carry, you're going to be making some mistakes. Be consistent and don't go for the plays because you feel pressured to carry. There are going to be games that are nearly impossible to win, ones that are free, and ones that are somewhat in between. In all of these games, you should only look to carry when the opportunity presents itself. Trying to force solo kills and pull ahead will only make you play more aggressively than you should, and that may not be the best decision to make. Especially if you put all that pressure on yourself and you end up losing the game, it's going to feel like it's on you, which sometimes it's not. Rather than focusing on carrying, focus on playing your best, and there is a definite difference. Let's say you're playing the bottom lane and you got your opponent sitting under the turret. You've been constantly poking them down, but your top laner gets solo killed a couple of times, and you feel like you need a carry. As you're playing aggressively and trying to pick up those kills in lane, the inevitable fiesta begins. A teleport begins channeling behind you, and it's unfortunately not one of your teammates. At the same time, the enemy jungler also happens to be passing by a ward that you placed a little bit earlier, and suddenly, you're not in for a good time. It's the classic 2v4 matchup in the bot lane. You've been there, I've been there, and we all know what it's like. To sum it all up, you don't aim to carry, aim to play well. While it may seem discouraging, just remember that as you play more and more games, if you play well in all of them, you will slowly but certainly climb. With 9 other randoms in the game, statistically speaking, over many games, there'll just be as many bad players on your team as the enemy team. Yes, every single game. You seem to have someone on your team that's feeding. But those tilting games are much more memorable than the ones that you have a good team. Learn as much as you can from those games. If you try too hard to carry, see where your mistakes are, and then adapt it in your next games. If it felt like you were playing too passive, slowly crank up that aggression. You need to find that sweet spot where you can constantly perform well and take opportunities in your own hands. You are the only factor that you have control over, so make sure you do what is most important and invest in yourself. Don't dwell on the games and instead focus on yourself. Don't develop bad habits because of a bad mindset. I believe in you, and you should too. But if you don't believe in yourself, you can also hit up a coach on ProGuides.com because I'm sure they can teach you a thing or two about confidence and mindset. Or if you want to buy boba, that keeps me consistent in my gaming. And well, we could also help with your gameplay, of course, the coaching. I guess both of them could work. The next thing is probably going to be the easiest. All you have to do is encourage your teammates. No mechanics required at all. The best part about being a supportive teammate is that you don't even have to auto-lock a support role. You don't even have to mean what you say, but if you want to win, you just have to try to make your teammates feel good. When they score an early solo kill, tell them it's a good job and let them know that you noticed them. A little praise can go a long way, and at the very least, it should at least give your teammates some reassurance that this game will be a little bit different from the others. We all hate getting flamed, it happens to us all. Someone using the chat for something other than pissing you off can be the world of difference, even if it's just for a single game. In the same way that we play worse when we get tilted, we play better when we feel good. Use this to your advantage and encourage your teammates. I personally find myself winning more games when I'm telling my teammates even simple things like, hey, good job, or hey, we got this. Now, I know that's not something that all of you guys want to do. Not everyone wants to be an overly optimistic angel on Summoner's Rift, and you don't have to be. It can be pretty draining, so just keep it simple. Type in those 2 letters GJ here and there, and trust me, it's gonna be helping you win more games. Alright, on to our next point. Where are my Imperial Mandate mains at? If you've been out of the League of Legends loop, no, Imperial Mandate is not a champion. It is, however, a wonderful item that you guys should know about. Nothing screams, hey, carry me, more than this item. It's never been easier to get carried. When you have this item, any crowd control that you inflict onto the enemy marks them, and it allows your ally to deal damage and activate that mark for some serious bonus damage. For those of you guys who don't want the responsibility of carrying, I think this season in particular looks very promising for utility-based champions, especially supports. Supports have an incredible amount of agency with the addition to this item, and hey, with a new season, it could also mean a new you. So why not try out supports? This item has actually made the role feel a lot more impactful than before, but again, you don't have to work so hard to utilize it. It's still on your teammates to carry you, but you can make it as easy as possible for them to do so. You're gonna have to take a leap of faith and actually trust your teammates. If they drop the ball, then honestly, it is what it is. However, you can definitely spoon feed a great teammate kills, and make it feel free so that anyone literally could follow up on it. Here's some food for thought. What if a great player isn't somebody who simply carries every single game? What if a great player can also be defined as someone who makes it easy for someone else to carry, or if they display their skill through consistency? I mean, after all, who hasn't heard, God, my team is so bad, I can't even carry them. If that statement ever has validity to it, doesn't that mean there are teammates who are good enough to carry? If we take it a step further, what if we went ahead and said that getting carried is a skill set in itself? Like we've been talking about in this video, if you want to climb, there's more to it than just 1v9 games. You're not going to be able to put the team on your back in every single game. In those games where you're not in a position to carry, you need to make sure that you play your best. Be a team player and don't get caught by playing overly aggressive, and make sure to do your part. Even if you're a carry player who does take initiative, I hope that you can still take this to heart. Sometimes you need to let yourself get carried. Make yourself as light as possible and do your job as your team's sandbag. It might not be as flashy, but surviving repeat ganks over and over again is an accomplishment as well. Not feeding when you get counterpicked deserves a pat on the back. Still having impact in your games in spite of having to eat immense early game pressure displays that you're a great player, even if you're not the one leading the team to victory. While it's not nearly as glorious, many of your games are going to be like this. So, for all of you guys, just remember, you're not the one that's supposed to carry every single game. Some games just don't go your way, and your opponents do everything in their power to shut you out. You may not get your whole team's approval and praise, but you can play with the self-satisfaction of knowing how well you played a game when you've just been a pressure sponge and you didn't let your enemy snowball off of you. With how the season is set to be, you can even express this through itemization. When someone else is popping off and gets a snowball going, maybe you can be the one that invests in grievous wounds for them. Or instead you can itemize a bit tankier as a fighter, or build some utility items as a tank or a mage. There's no shame in getting carried because, like I've been saying, it's a skill in itself. To quickly summarize things, if you want to win more games without having to carry, do this. Identify your team's win con and play around them. It doesn't have to be you can look at your teammates and support them, especially if they have volatile matchups or if they scale very well. Remember to play consistently. Aim to play well, do not aim to carry. You want to avoid tunnel visioning and instead play intelligently over the course of several games. On the side, you can do things like encourage your teammates and even go ahead and try to pick up a new role or some new champions like this season as well. Finally, to take the necessary steps, you need to be easy to carry. There's a lot of work that can go into it, even if it sounds easy. That will be concluding this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comments down below. And make sure you check our website and also subscribe to our YouTube channel to receive updates. Until next time, best of luck on the Summoner's Rift, and I'll catch you in our next video. Stay safe, stay healthy, and have a wonderful holiday. Peace.